Hello guys, today we're gonna talk about something other than the case studies. We're gonna discuss about various grounds of divorce. Now divorce can be taken under section 13 of the Hindu Marriage Act. It can be taken by two ways. Either one of the party files for divorce, that is by the spouse, or it can also be taken by mutual consent of both the parties. So if one of the spouse wants to file divorce and the other is not ready to give the divorce, what are the grounds on which one party can take divorce from the other? Let's discuss about them. Now the first ground is adultery. Adultery means when the spouse has sexual intercourse with someone other than the husband, that is a party having sexual intercourse outside the marriage. Then it will be believed, it is said that the person, that the spouse has committed adultery. So your spouse can take divorce on this ground. Now the next ground is cruelty. So there are several things, there are several parameters laid down by the Supreme Court on which you can take a divorce from your spouse. Now these parameters have been laid down in a case, that is the Praveen Mehta versus Indrajit Mehta case. I'll tell you some of the parameters that has been laid down, uh, which are said to be cruelty on your spouse. Now one of them is false allegation of adultery. So if you put a false allegation of adultery on your spouse, then it will be said to be cruelty on the spouse. All right. Then next one is demand for dowry from spouse. So if you're asking for dowry, then it will be said to be cruelty. All right. Refusal to have sexual intercourse, that will also amount to cruelty on the spouse. Then refusal to have sexual intercourse. Impotency, drinking of spouse, threat to commit suicide, all these amount to cruelty on the spouse. All right, so these are the, I've talked about two: adultery, and second is cruelty, and rest are the several parameters which amount to cruelty. Now the third one is desertion. Now what is desertion? Desertion means when you leave your spouse. Okay, when one party, for example the husband leaves the wife for some period, and the wife is, left by the husband for a long time. All right. Um, and that period is said to be, from in case of divorce we say that at least minimum 2 years must have been passed, that one of them has been deserted. Okay, so I'll tell you what are the parameters which need to be fulfilled in desertion. Then only the desertion will be applicable as a ground, if these things have taken place in the relationship. That is, if both the husband and wife are living separately, then there should be an intention to desert. So if there is a reason that if one of the spouse works or has a job like that person has to stay away for 2 years from their spouse, then it is not, the person was not having the intention to desert, but probably due to some job or some reason, some important reason was there, and one of them had to leave for a period. So this will not amount to desertion, because there should be an intention that one of them wants to desert the other. All right, now the desertion should be without any cause. All right, and it should, yeah, so till now we've talked about 3 points: adultery, cruelty, and the third one is desertion. The desertion, for desertion I told you, living separately, intention to desert, desertion without cause, without consent, and for at least minimum 2 years must have been passed that the person has been deserted. All these points are necessary in case of desertion. Now the next one is conversion. So if any of the party, if the person is Hindu and is converting himself or herself to another religion, for example Muslim, in this case you can also file divorce. This is also considered, conversion is also considered as a ground for divorce. Now the next one is leprosy. Leprosy is a skin disease which happens to a person, and so in case one of the spouse has this disease, it is also considered as a ground for divorce. So any sexual disease. All right, then if person has been involved into renunciation of the world, as in, if you want to become a sadhu or something, then the spouse can also take divorce on this ground. Then the last one is if the person has not heard from their spouse for at least a period of 7 years. So if your spouse has left you, or you have no clue where the spouse has gone, and minimum 7 years have passed, then you can file the divorce in the court. This is also considered as a ground, so you can remarry, and you can get rid of the relationship if your spouse is missing, is gone for like 7 years. So yes, so today we spoke about all the grounds of divorce, and in all we spoke about 8 grounds, that is adultery, cruelty, desertion, conversion, leprosy, sexual disease, renunciation of the world, and if the person has not heard from their spouse for at least 7 years. Alright, so I think that's it for today. I'll come back with more topics to discuss with you guys.